Thanks so much. You could stay on. I am Pius Kojobakai. Looking at our stories, Ghana's Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, has stated that the country's energy sector is showing encouraging signs of stability and recovery. According to him, ongoing reforms and targeted interventions are beginning to yield visible results. Speaking at the Government Accountability Series held at the Jubilee House today, Mr. Jinapor said the power sector has seen significant progress. He added that the persistent and erratic power outages that characterized the beginning of the year have been largely curtailed.
Evidently say that Ghana's energy sector is indeed showing signs of stabilization and improvement, driven by ongoing reforms aimed at addressing both technical and financial challenges, as well as modernizing infrastructure. The persistent and erratic power outages that had plagued the country when we assumed office during the beginning of the year has witnessed a remarkable improvement and reliable supply of power. And you can attest to the fact that we are now experiencing reliable, uninterruptible supply of power. This Sunday, when we were undertaking the upgrading of the ENI facility to increase gas production, some people went to town and christened that Sunday as National Doomso Day. Fortunately, through the collaborative effort with all the stakeholders and our technical team, we were able to conduct that operation successfully without switching even 1 megawatt off. And we'll do everything we can to ensure that we build on the gains we've made and consolidate the gains we've made.
All right, let's have a conversation on the back of these comments made by the minister. Joining us via phone is economist and energy finance analyst at the Institute for Energy Security, Derek Emmanuel. Thank you so much, Emma, for your time. Now, first of all, the minister believes that the ongoing reforms and targeted interventions are beginning to yield visible results, hence the stability and recovering we are recording in the sector. Your thoughts?
All right, Pius, thanks for the opportunity. Good afternoon once again. And so our country's power sector that was once plagued by some erratic power supply. We had some mounting debt and then some sort of operational inefficiency. We are seeing some tangible signs of recovery and stability, especially taking into account the first half of the year. One of them, we have seen the low steady that in some decline, and also in the recent ENI facility, that's a critical infrastructure. And this thing was executed without a single power outage. And this is more or less unprecedented when you take the recent fact into consideration. We've also seen some sort of some maintenance discipline and then some operational readiness in the sector. And they've been able to carry out some routine strategic maintenance without any disruption of power. That is a good thing. We've also seen some reforms such that for the first time, ECG have been able to increase some or accounted for some increase in revenue mobilization. If you know, that is a record-breaking thing for you to be able to record 1.6 billion in revenue, the highest so far in recent history. And that is a good thing because that becomes the lifeblood of our power sector when it comes to financial sustainability. And so for the first half year, the power sector, energy sector as a whole, we are seeing some improvement, and that is a good thing to go by.
And I want to follow up on the ECG's matter because he goes on to say that ECG, like you mentioned, did see revenue increase in recent months to 47.3% compared to the same period last year. Impressive, but do you hold the view that it is insufficient to fully address the broader challenges confronting the electricity sector?
All right, so when you talk about the challenges affecting the energy sector, or if you want to streamline it, you come to the power sector. The power sector is very broad, and so you are looking at the generation part, you're looking at the transmission part, then you're looking at the distribution. Now, to center it on the distribution, which is the ECG was more or less having some low revenue mobilization. That is one part. They were also experiencing some distribution losses, more or less some sort of inefficiencies. And so if one part of this problem is about revenue mobilization challenges, and now we are having an increase in revenue, and it means that sort of it, we should have improvement in it. And anytime there's an increase in revenue mobilization, it helps or it enables ECG to be able to comply with the cash waterfall mechanism. Because one of the issues with the power sector was to be financial sustainability, which has been a challenge with us. And so now that we are having to do with an increase in revenue mobilization, then that leg of the problem has been, or maybe is being solved in the process. The second part got to do with technical challenges. That got to do with the internal controls of ECG. Some of them have been some people who are bypassing the system, having some illegal connections and so on. But you've seen that ECG have gotten a task force that are able to visit the house of people, they're able to visit their workplaces and so to regularize those who are bypassing the system. And more or less, that is what has accounted for this increase in revenue mobilization. And so when you got to do with issues that can curtail billing and then revenue mobilization, then eliminating the inefficiencies in the power sector, then issues that are more or less with the power sector will be a thing of the past. Because it is not that we do not have the capacity. Anytime Ghana has a dependable capacity that can generate power for the whole of the country and even export. What we've been experiencing of the past of power outages, most times is because of the financial incapacity that the country have.
And Ima, finally, your thoughts about the implementation of the 1 cedi fuel levy. The minister did say that the government will monitor and take a decisive action in the future whether or not to suspend the tax. What do you foresee happening?
All right, so one thing I can say about it is the transparency when it comes to the collection of this 1 Ghana cedi per liter of fuel. The reason why I say this is that as at the time we were supposed to kickstart, at that time we were experiencing the rush and Israel-Iran issue. And so there was possibility of rising tariffs. And so the ministry thought it quite okay, let's not how the book. But after a few days, there was a ceasefire. And that it was suspended and considered notice. When the ceasefire did on it, prices have come back to around $5 per barrel. And then the tariffs have been supplied for the past 1 month. And so the thing about the government, they more or less being transparent, now that it's applied, the necessary tax, more or less, of this plus tax goes to any some of huge sector that is because to fix up the it's been undertaken. What we expect is that going forward, we are talking about the ring fencing that particular levy. Let it use the sole purpose of which it was created, and let the agency updated as and when how much has been retrieved, how much has gone into the repayment of the debt. And at any point in time, things are not under the control of the government, especially when it comes to external factors. We expect that there will be that suspension of this 1 Ghana cedi levy.
Very well. Thank you so much, Derek Hatcher, for your time. He is an economist with the Institute for Energy Security speaking to us here on the subject matter. Let's shift focus to one other story we are learning, which is, of course, coming through. The Bank of Ghana has announced that it will hold an emergency monetary policy committee meeting tomorrow, July 17. According to the notice, the meeting, which will be held tomorrow, is to review developments in the economy over the past 2 months. And our man on the beat for that, or for us, is my colleague George Yafe. Joins me in studio to fill us in with what we know. George, so first off, what is prompting this meeting?
It's interesting, and we are all trying to dig and engage with what has been the reason. This might be the third time the data has been reviewed. Now, this is a background again. Don't forget that earlier the Ministry of Finance was supposed to have held or maybe present, the minister had present the mid-year review of estimates. That is this week. It was changed to next week. Now, a lot of the data that the committee will publish at the end of their meeting would also be needed or be announced in the mid-year budget review. So the practice has often been that you wait for the mid-year to be done, then you come in. But it appears that that is changing right now, and that is why when it was moved to the ending of this month, it has now been moved to this new date as well that we're talking about being tomorrow. And don't forget, this is not just about the meeting, but they're also going to announce their policy decision on Friday immediately after the committee meets.
Then what's on that for us?
Well, it appears that there are some drastic actions or measures need to be taken, and it might not be prudent to wait till the end of the month. Now, instead of normally waiting to give that information to the Minister of Finance to announce it in the mid-year budget review, it looks like the Bank of Ghana is now moving ahead to give that information. So what you get from the MPC data when it is released, that you have a fair idea about how revenue has fared for for the first 6 months of this year? Expenditure, are they on track to meet the targets? How are we doing? Or how are we faring when it comes to our debt numbers and all those things? And maybe you don't have to wait till next Thursday to get all those details. You'll get all those details or those fine details. That is on Friday when they actually meet or engage the press to announce their decision on the policy rate that's currently at 28%.
And are we to see a cut?
Well, depending on who you engage, and even for those who are engaging, who are members of the Monetary Policy Committee, the argument is that there are still some uncertainty, and you want to wait for a while. Inflation has dropped significantly, and it makes a case for it to go down. Don't forget, government has applied a 1 E-Levy on fuel now. There are still uncertainties outside. Just a while ago, we heard that Israel has bombed Damascus, that is Syria. Even though that might not be an oil-producing country, could it be a resurgence of development in the Middle East? So there are some members on the committee who believe that, can we wait a while to still watch how these external things will impact on Ghana? If you go through the IMF staff report, they are also pushing for further tightening or monetary tightening. That means that we should cut the rate further in terms of more hiking the rate further to check the amount of money in circulation. So it might be a very tight corner. Depending on how things pan out, we could have maybe a marginal reduction or maybe keep the number unchanged as well.
Very well. Thank you so much, George, for filling us in what you know in respect to the latest development coming through, which has to do with the Monetary Policy Committee emergency meeting tomorrow. Of course, George shall be bringing us more in our subsequent bulletins. But let's do this story. And I tell you what, all is set for the 11th edition of the APSA UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable, scheduled to take place tomorrow, 17 July, at 2025 at the University of Professional Studies. The topic to be discussed is Ghana's legal tender, monetary policy, and rising city. Key speakers for the event are Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama, Executive Director, Strategy and Operations at APSA Bank, Aldov Bega, and Financial Advisory Partner and Africa Infrastructure Lead at Deloitte Ghana, Yaulate. Joining us via Zoom to talk about this event is Gertrude Amoko Ama, Coordinator of the APSA Bank UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable. Thank you so much, Gertrude, for joining us here on Business Live. Can you confirm to us whether indeed we are prepared for tomorrow's Quarterly Banking Roundtable as we reflect on the topic, Ghana's legal tender, monetary policy, and rising cedi?
Hello, good evening, Pius. Thank you so much for having us. Good evening to your cherished viewers as well. In fact, we are the UPSA Law School and APSA Bank. We are fully prepared for tomorrow's discussion. You will agree with me that this was a platform that was created for sustained and rigorous discussions on issues relating to the banking sector in Ghana. So it was originally the UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable, then subsequently became the APSA UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable. We are very proud to say that tomorrow's discussion is the 11th in the series. So we have made quite significant gains, and we have experienced a lot of growth regarding this particular platform. So the choice of tomorrow's topic is very critical, and we strongly believe that all is set for this very important discussion tomorrow.
Talk to me about the speakers for the event. What should we expect from them as they ponder on the topic?
Right. So very significantly, and like we did observe, our special guest of honor, as well as the keynote speaker for tomorrow's event, is none other than the Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Isiama. We would also be joined by Mr. Aldov Bega, who is the Executive Director, Strategy and Operations at APSA Bank, and also Mr. Yao Apialate. Yao is a Financial Advisory Partner and Africa Infrastructure Lead at Deloitte Ghana. The discussion will be moderated by Madam Emmeline Afiufosu, who is a Corporate and Investment Bank, who is with the Corporate and Investment Bank Division at EcoBank PLC. And with this very stellar cast of panelists that we have put together, they'll be discussing issues relating to the significant changes that we have, or the significant appreciation that we have experienced with the Ghana cedi, and how all of this is happening in the context of, evolving monetary policy dynamics and also shift in economic policy. So we are all set for tomorrow. We look forward to a very wonderful discussion.
And Gertrude, what should we expect after the event? Who can attend the event? How can viewers join, for example?
It's actually an open event, so you are all welcome to join us at the West Wing of the Kofi Ohene Konedu Auditorium on our beautiful campus, the University of Professional Studies, Accra. For further details, you can also follow the social media handles of UPSA Law School or even of UPSA itself. And like I did say, for those who will be joining us either virtually or in person, they can look forward to very rigorous discussions on issues concerning the impact of monetary policy on currency stability, issues concerning banking, compliance and monetary policy, and the role of the legal tender, which is a CD, in fostering economic confidence. The event will be telecast or will be broadcast live on Joy TV as well as Joy FM as well. So yes, these are all the various platforms that you can follow the discussion on.
Thank you so much, Gertrude Amakwama, coordinator, Absa Bank UPSA Law School Quarterly Banking Roundtable. Actually, time, and of course, tomorrow is the place you need to be at the UPSA for that engagement. The governor will be there. Let's shift focus to some other stories, which happens to be one of our lead stories. In line with government's 24-hour economic program, the Social Security and National Infrastructure SNIT is optimistic about leveraging its virtual branches across the country to significantly boost compliance of contributions. These virtual branches are designed to provide convenient and accessible services to employers and contributors, making it easier for them to comply with contribution requirements. More in this report. Form will enable users to perform various transactions, including registration, contribution payments, and benefit applications from the comfort of their own offices or homes. By leveraging its virtual branches, SNIT hopes to increase compliance rates by making it easier for employers to register and pay contributions for their employees. Speaking to Joy Business at the Employers Breakfast Meeting, Director General of SNIT, Kwesi Afre-Binin, said the increased accessibility and convenience of its virtual services will encourage more employers to comply with contribution requirements, ultimately boosting the scheme's coverage and sustainability.
We're targeting to take compliance to about 90% between this year and end of next year. And we believe it's possible because over the last 5 years, we've moved from about 60% to close to 80% today. So we are pretty confident that if we continue these engagements and get it right and provide the convenience that makes it easier for people to be compliant, we can scale above 90% within the next 24 months. What we are seeking to do is to scale that to the next level, where you have a virtual branch manned by people. So today, for instance, somebody dials into our data center and requests for things to be done. At that point, that person takes the information and relies on the existing departments or branches to give you feedback. The strategy now is that let's have a fully compliant virtual branch, where once you dial in, there is somebody who is readily available to serve you and to give you a quicker feedback.
Chief Executive, thanks so much for your company. I am Pius Kojobaka.